All right. Welcome. Good afternoon. We've got a special guest speaker today for us in seminar. I think this will be really interesting for most of you guys. This is Dr. Mariano Menghini. He is an assistant professor at the Universidad Nacional del Sur.
Okay.
I think pretty good accent.
Yeah.
In Bahia Blanca, Argentina. And Dr. Menghini has been with me here in my lab as a visiting scientist for the last couple months, and is going to be here another 6-8 weeks. Time's flying by, going very fast. But he's here helping us with some research and learning about the beef industry here in the U.S. And I invited him to give a presentation to you guys and to the department about the beef industry in Argentina. And it's quite interesting. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Menghini and welcome him for the seminar.
Okay. Well, you listen me. Okay. Well, first, thank you, all of you, for the possibility that you give me to be here and to be able to talk with you. I hope you have patience with me. This is the second time that I am trying to go in to speak in English. If someone wants to translate it, that presentation for me is really good, but I don't think so. But
I'm confident that your English is better than our Spanish.
Okay, it's good. Well, for that reason, I decided to write in this paper what I say to be able to be clear. I hope so. Ask any question at any time. I have no problem. Yeah. So I have been working for 10 years at the Universidad Nacional del Sur in Bahia Blanca. It's my city, as a teacher. There I graduated as an agronomic engineer and did my PhD. I also member of Asociación Argentina de Producción Animal. That is equivalent to AS here, I suppose. Yeah? Now I'm here for an internship and have a Dr. Ryan Reuter as my supervisor, and take the opportunity to thank the support he gave me and share your experiences with me. So, Argentina, we have a total area of 3.7 million square kilometers. It is in the map, including Antarctica. We are the 8th largest country in the world. We are almost 45 million people. However, in Argentina, 40% of the population concentrated in the metropolitan area close to Buenos Aires city, our capital here. 40% of people live close to Buenos Aires. Then much of the country has a very low population density, really. Our population density average is 16 people per square kilometer. In relation with United States, here you have 33 people per square kilometer. Well, some approach of economy situation is not easy explained in one slide, nor I am an economic specialist, but I will try to explain some of our actual particularities. The economy situation is highly variable and unpredictable. In general, the economics politics change with the government. We have some indicator in our economy that are improving, but here I tell you something different for you, maybe a pretty bad indicator. This is the rate of inflation in the past year. Inflation, if you don't know, is the generalization of increases of prices in whole economy. An example, in the period January-June of the last year, 2020, the inflation rate was 42%, while the increases in meat prices was 52%. I don't know if you can imagine that implication of that. In the other hand, what about the salary of people in that period? It is important that the people's salaries increasing accompanying the inflation rate. Otherwise, poverty increases. Now we are with the worst poverty rates in our history. In inflation situation, what can the ranchers do? In general, spend the money and accumulate raw materials. It's good. Feed animals, facility, etc. It is key to maintain the capital in products instead of cash in our national currency. For example, for exporting company, our country can be a good possibility to earn good money because they buy in Argentinian pesos and sell outside Argentina in US dollars. Talking about what concerns us, in Argentina, we have a Cordillera de los Andes. It is a mountain range that crosses the whole country in the west with peaks of more than 6,000 meters, and we have plains or flat grounds here with the most fertile lands to the east. We have a tropical weather in the north, temperate weather in the center, and cold weather in the south. That allow a very great diversity of climates and biomes, each one with its particular characteristics and different productions. The red dot here is the city of Bahía Blanca, my city. 430 miles south of Buenos Aires, where my university is located. We are in in another time I can talk about my university and how it's work if you want. We have in a transition between Pampas region in green, this is Pampas region, and Spinal region in yellow. Less productivity, Spinal region, and more productivity, Pampas region. This is Buenos Aires province. Province are the equivalent of state here. The figure here indicated the difference ISO heights in millimeters. The rain in that part of region of southwest of Buenos Aires province, that is Bahía Blanca, the rains are decreasing in northeast to southwest directions. The average rainfall in Bahía Blanca is around 23 inches per year. The main crops are corn, soybean, sunflower, wheat, and barley. This is the average yield in kilograms per hectare. The conversion to pounds per acre is 1 kilograms per hectare is 0.9 pounds per acre. Respect to livestock productions, cattle is the most important Sheep in general in small herds, and we have very few goats. Cattle grazing production range from 30 to 250 kilograms per hectare, while grazing stocker enterprise range a lot to 100 to 1,000 kilograms per hectare. This is in body weight. You know? We have a lot of breed in the country, but in our region, for beef productions, the most important are the English breeds and its cruces, Angus and Hereford, mainly, like a picture. Too much less extent, we have also Chevrolet and Shorton and its cruces too. In the north of the country, we have Criollo breed. This breed is a very few dystocia problems. A bull in the top and a cow in the bottom. We have also Brahmans and its cruces with Angus and Hereford, but I don't put photo of this. Maybe you know it. I think that you have more diversity of breed here in United States, or I don't know, around Stillwater, from what I've been saying in that week. For dairy production, we have Orlando Argentino and Jersey. This is the most common breeds. We have 1.7 million dairy cows in Argentina, mainly in the Pampas region. In our region, some dairy farms that use the crosses of both breeds are becoming very popular. This is a view of these calves. Try to maintain low body size, low maintenance cost, and high solid in milk. Well, now we are talking about Pampas region, located to north and east of Bahía Blanca. The largest number of cattle in the country is concentrated in that region in grazing systems or feedlot for final period. Yeah. Finish in grazing system is very common. We have some dairy farms too, close to Bahía Blanca, that we visit with the student and do some works in that kind of systems. The most common species for grazing in Pampas region during the year, this is a line of time with the month, are perennial grasses in combination with annual pastures. Regarding perennial grasses, we have alfalfa, red clover as a legumes, and tall fescue, tall wheatgrass, perennial ryegrass, okra grass, and weeping lovegrass. Maybe you know it some, or I don't know if here takes some different names. Common mixture could be alfalfa with tall fescue, or in better line, in more fertile line, could be perennial ryegrass with white clover. Weeping lovegrass in sand soil and very dry conditions. The most common summer annual species are sorghum, corn, and pearl millet, and winter cereals like oats, rye, barley, wheat, triticale, like a grass, and vicia, like a legume, annually. It's common the mixture of vicia with oats or rye for grazing systems. There is a great diversity of variety of sorghum. Direct grazing is common, taking advantage of sorghum regrow capacity instead of corn. like a photo, or it is also leaf as differ to be used in winter with protein supplements, really good conversion ratio. Silage is also widely used as a complement to grazing with that kind of structures here. Silage from corn and sorghum, most common. Animals can eat directly with little waste, I don't know if waste is it's okay, waste, and low feed handling cost. The operator only need to move that stick. It's very easy and fast. Push the gate some, but it's necessary the person move to catch the nylon, catch the polyethylene. Yeah. Depend of the animals, but it's good move 20 to 30 centimeters per day, or more, and a half a meter per day. Grain or protein supplements in pastures with that kind of feeders is common and very simple for ranchers, maybe similar to here. Now I see more that kind of diet, only 2 ingredients to the final period of fattering, whole corn grains plus protein concentrated. They are very expensive diet, but some prefer them for the simplicity of handling. Using that kind of silo with the small gates in the bottom. Only that feed without ravages. There is the feed look like this. It's important that the corn is whole corn, not grain, not ground corn. In our area, we have also feedlots, taking advantage for the proximity of feeds and semi-arid conditions with very low presence of mud. Well, now we're talking about the spinal region located at west and south of Bahía Blanca. This is a typical landscape community of native plant species, different stratus, grasses, shrubs, and trees used for cow-calf productions, mainly. This is another overview, another view of the landscape, different stratus here. This is the Calden tree, produces, Calden is the most common tree in that region, produces highly palatable fruits. It's a legume tree, like this. And this environmental fire is part of the ecosystems, although it is only used to control of woody species. When the woody species grow a lot and the animal don't move well in the pasture, we make a prescribed fire. In our department, there are working groups dedicated to this topic for a long time. We have the red deer and wild pigs in that region. In that region, we have dunes area, soils with high concentrated of sand, very fragile for tillage. The most common species in this environmental for grazing during the year are native grasses in combination with annual grass. Native like a poa, ligularis, nacella, different types of nacella, pictocesium, like sea tree plants, winter grass, perennial, or papophorum is warm perennial grass, and another. Like annual grass, rye is most common for tolerance to dry conditions, but triticale, barley, wheat, oat, and ambisia could be used. This is a satellite imaging from 2009 after a period of drought, excessive soil tillage, low forage availability, and then overgrazing of a lot of areas. The surface layer of soil seen flying through the ocean. We think in our department, in our teamwork, there should be more systems with perennial pastures. For this reason, we work with perennial pasture to improve productivity and nutritional quality. I work particularly with tall wheatgrass, a perennial cool season grass. It is common to see tall wheatgrass in salinity and sodicity soils, but it can increase its production by 3 times in soils without salt problems. In my PhD, I worked with interseeding with legumes, especially hairy vetch, and I could observe how the mixture can increase its forage yield up to 3 times, almost 3 times, depending on the state of tall wheatgrass pasture, minorly. The interseeding can increase nutritional quality in spring cuts. We found increases up to 120 percentage of crude protein and decreases of neutral detergent fiber up to 32%, maybe having a good impact on voluntary intake, but I have not measured the impact of animal productivity yet, but this is the idea for the future. This is a typical view of our tall wheatgrass pastures of the end of the winter. In this case, this is a 6-year-old pasture, little grow, bare soil, maybe I don't know with the light, but it's good to see the picture. Well, can it be a usual state of tall wheatgrass here in March? I don't know. This is in September in Argentina. Maybe close to similar to March here. This is the same pasture with 50 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, grow from greater foliar expansion. And the same pasture without fertilization, but with vetch interseeding. In this case, with 13 kilograms per hectare, more yield, better soil cover, and erosion prevention. The same 3 treatments in this graph, you can see the forage yield in dry matter per hectare accumulated after seeding and fertilized throughout the year. Tall wheatgrass monoculture first, tall wheatgrass with plus nitrogen, and tall wheatgrass plus hairy vetch. The color of the bar represents the biomass contributed by the 2 different species, in violet vetch, in green tall wheatgrass. There is a significant increases in mixture with respect to tall wheatgrass pure, and fertilization shows an intermediate yield. There is one result you can like an overview. Yeah. No, annually. Annually. I hope in the future work like a natural reseeding, but now for my trials, I'm planning sowing annually in fall. Our March may be close to September here. You can see the difference of 1,000 kilograms in 2 cuts. Something curious for me in the first like hypothesis of the work, it's and I can observe in another results is vetch doesn't affect the productivity of tall wheatgrass. You can see that if the same production from tall wheatgrass in mixture with respect to the control treatment is the same production. The increases in biomass is provided exclusively by the vetch. This is the legumes occupies niches in the nature that tall wheatgrass leaves availability, like water, radiation, nutrients in soil, etc. Another way of looking at this is the lower presence of weed in the mixture. I have no measure, but there is an interesting area to work. Well, I don't work alone. This is the work group where I belong. This is Dr. Hugo Arelovich. Maybe sometime someone you know it. He did his master and PhD here at OSU in the 19th and 18th, and was my advisor in my PhD in Argentina. We have experiences in the study of oat as grain and forage, oat grains as alternative to corn grain for its palatability, lower risk of producing acidosis, possibility of production in regions where corn is not possible, presence of conjugated linoleic acid and secondary compound we are exploring right now. We have some information on animal performance when corn or oat grains is used to formulate diet in 5,500 pound steers, diet-based oat or corn. In general, voluntary intake, feed conversion, and average daily gain were similar between kind of grains. However, we saw an interesting effect in one of the trials. The graph shows the rate of increases in rib area in the top and back fat thickness in the bottom. In the top figure, oat diet, red bars, show higher increases in rib area rates respect to corn diet. It's lower, difference of 40%. In the bottom figure, oat diet show less increases in the fat thickness rate. We think of certain secondary components that oat have, such as lignans, phytoestrogens, that may be playing a role in the deposition of muscles and fat. We have a PhD student working on it right now, with the idea of working in the fattering stage. In this trial is a stocker more less weight animals. We are doing the experiment in association with INTA Bordenave. INTA in Argentina It's like a USDA here, maybe close. Animals in individual pens until slaughter. We measure carcass yield and meat quality parameters. Now, I take the opportunity to explain how the carcass are classified according our agricultural ministry. SENASA is who set the rules. SENASA is our national service of health and food quality. There are mandatory parameters and non-mandatory parameters. The mandatory parameters like a sex or category, this is NT steers, like a novillito, novillo, is steers, heifers, cows, bulls, yeah? And age of animals throughout teething in 2 teeth, 4, 6, or 8 teeth. In that way, SENASA measure the age of animals. 5 carcass conformation scales and 5 fat scales. Number 2 is ideal in fat. Leave some word in Spanish you can learn maybe. And also brushes or contusion in numbers according the location in the carcassa. Number 1 for the ventral area, something like this. This is level can look like this. Private data is covered. In this case, this is the date of slaughter, animal number, conformation and fat code. In this case is a A2 is the best. The weight of carcasses, number of teeth, location of bruises or contusions. In this case is in the dorsal area, number 3. This is a show a level of carcasses. So the best thing about working on the finished period is the testing with the co-worker and have a good time together. Well, and finally, we can wait for you with a grilled lamb. This is a very typical way to cook the meat in Argentina. We call cordero al asador. With friends, you are welcome to Argentina anytime. Ready. Thank you. Okay.
Questions?
Sure.
What was the economic cost of planting the hairy veg versus just doing the nitrogen fertilization?
Well, I know I am not a specialist in economics, but you know that the legume fix nitrogen of atmospheric by make a relationship between microorganisms in the soil. In Argentina, 1 kilograms of hairy veg cost $1 to $2 per kilograms. If in that trial I used 13 kilograms, that is close to $20 per hectare. And we spend close to 5 liters of gas for make the sowing. Maybe you can make that account in compare to 50 kilograms of price of urea here. I don't know. You can make that kind of calculation and expect increases in the mixture about 1,000 kilograms, for example. You need to consider too the mixture with higher batch increases the quality of forage a lot. This is two benefits: more yield, but better quality in the forage. Maybe with that kind of dates, you can make the account.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
No, sure.
I just have one follow-up question. Is that something you see producers implementing?
Hairy vetch is very common interseed or mixed together with annual grass, like a rye, like a oat. 30 years ago, it's common. It's a practice that with the time, the ranchers or the farmers live to use, not use too much. Now, with the high cost of nitrogen fertilizer, the producer use more vetch. But it's not common. I never see interseeding of hairy vetch in tall wheatgrass. This is new for me. This is I don't know. Well, I have different hypotheses before, but hairy vetch is the seeds of hairy vetch. They are very big, that help for interseeding in a pasture, implanted pasture already, instead of another legumes that have very little seeds, like a white clover or lotus. I don't know if it's bird for trifoli. It's more slow. Vetch is the growth of vetch is very quickly, very strong at the beginning. I don't measure. This is interesting to measure. Sometimes the farmers, the ranchers say me, yeah, they eat a lot. I see the cattle prefer tall wheatgrass first. If the pressure of grazing is not too much, I saw the cattle eat tall wheatgrass first and after higher vetch. But there are not a third benefit of higher vetch is the residual fertility in the soil. I don't show in that presentation, but I found increases in crude protein on tall wheatgrass in the next fall when the higher vetch is gone. There are fertilize the leaf more nitrogen in the soil, and you can catch in crude protein of tall wheatgrass after, for example. I don't know if you understand me. Sorry. Yeah.
How common, particularly at feedlot, is it to process cereal grains?
Yeah. Yes, it's common. That is more expensive because you need another machines, another cost of productions. But in big feedlots, it's common processing the grains. Yep.
In the bigger feedlots, would you normally see like a dry roll, or is there a flaking process? Or?
Dry roll maybe more common. Yeah, but I'm not sure of that. Yeah. No, it's okay.
I was interested in your the results you saw on oats versus corn
Yeah.
feedlot diets. Do you repeated that study?
Yes.
Is it repeatable?
Yes. Yes. Sometimes in some study, the corn take a little advantage to oat, but very few, or well, sometimes, yeah. Advantage in feed conversion ratio or more high body weight in the final period, but it's sometimes yes and sometimes no, depend of the quality of grains minorly.
Do you use implants?
No,
No implants.
in Argentina, this is a big difference from here. The implant, Senasa, prohibit the implants.
Perhaps you're talking about the phytoestrogens in the oat. Maybe that's working like an implant, a natural implant.
Well,
Maybe.
it's possible.
Yeah.
We found, well, I not, but the student working in that found in rats, the lignans, there are compounds in secondary compounds in very low quantity, but the effect could be high. Different rate of deposition in muscles and fat. Now we saw with that kind of result that I show you, we maybe can explain that difference rate of increases of rebate area and back fat thickness. It's an interesting area. We are working now in that. Winter cereals and especially oats have a very concentrate of lignans instead of corn, for example.
And on that, is sorghum considered with its drought tolerance and still yield capability? Is that a consideration where you're at? But relative to corn production or even oat production?
Sorry, no, maybe I don't understand completely the question.
Is there a heavy consideration to plant sorghum
Yeah.
for silage and both grain production relative to corn or oats?
Yes, in our region, it's a semi-arid, sub-humid region. Sorghum is a very good alternative to corn. Corn is need more fertile soils. We have a lot of sorghums. The rancher need to make a good planification if the objective of sorghum is harvest the grain or live like a defer or grazing, because you can select different cultivar for different objectives. Sometimes the ranchers don't make good planifications of that. Maybe, well, they have a problem. Sorghum is an expensive pasture. It's annual. For us, it's expensive, but respond very well in our region. Yep.
Question from the chat.
Okay.
Dr. Spicer says that wild boar meat from pigs,
Why?
wild pig meat is popular in Italy. Has wild pig meat become popular in Argentina?
Pig is popular, not wild pig. Wild pig is popular in rural region for make salami. We have a tradition of immigrants from Italy and Spain, south of Spain, and it's very popular. Make a salami, it's mixture like beef meat with wild pig, but you don't can buy wild pig in a grocery in the downtown, for example. You need to go to the rural area to eat wild pig. Yeah. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you for you.